Hey, welcome back everybody. Psychic Eric here. Got another 5LP special update for you. Ever since I've been away, I know I keep saying that, but it's true. I picked all these up since my departure. And we got some variety here. We got a couple nice Psych Originals. One from Sundays, it's kind of a garage rock comp. And then kind of slip into some more jazz funk, spiritual jazz territory. So kind of a variety, but I'm, as always, trying to catch up on these things. So no BS, let's jump right into it. This is one that dropped in the shop, not from the regular one that's been dropping things in, but this is one that was in a collection. I've never seen a copy in person, and this is probably the nicest copy floating around right now. And this is a US copy of Ancient Greece. Women and Children First. This is a US Mercury copy. To be honest, some people like this cover variation, but I don't know, I could never get down with it. I guess I just don't really like the color schemes. And it's like these roly-polies, and it's like liquid, being dumped over them. I don't know what's going on. But this is, I think it's a Welsh group, because of John Weathers. He was in Eyes of Blue, and eventually in Gentle Giant. This is like a band he was kind of leading at the time, or somewhat of a band that was taking some of his compositions and doing a little bit of their variations on it. And I think they were originally titled Strawberry Dust or Strawberry Rain. I forget. I think it's Strawberry Dust. But the label, I was thinking maybe they could just slap another name on them and call them Ancient Greece, which I kind of like. It's kind of a cool play on words, Ancient Greece. But yeah, this one, I don't know, I gotta be honest, it's kind of a grower. This is one that I was familiar with, but I didn't remember it leaving a lasting impression on me the first time I heard it. And I think it was often because of the first track, Freedom Train. Again, kind of in that bluesy territory that I don't really care for too much. But when these guys rock out, things start going in good directions. I think the thing that kind of put me off, and still kind of does in some ways, is some of the more piano, ballady, and sort of acoustic cuts on here. I don't remember what tracks in particular. I think it was like Mystic Mountain and a few other tracks. But I do remember the highlights though. Don't Want, Eagle Song, Mother Grease the Cat, which might be my favorite off of here. It's pretty good, hooky riffs that kind of draw you in. And the title track too, the closing track, Women and Children First. But yeah, you just never see them this clean. I think it's got a little bit of splitting trying to happen near the opening, but otherwise no ring wear, and just really pops. It's got a really good brightness to it. I think they kind of started out as R&B, if I remember correctly, and then they just kind of sort of morphed with the times, what a lot of other bands were doing, sort of going in that kind of progressive hard rock direction. But like I say, I think the ballads kind of really sink this a little bit lower in my ranking as far as appreciating it, but still a keeper for now. I'm really glad I stumbled across this in the shop at least and gave it another chance. And yeah, I think the UK copies came on a Black Mercury. This is the stock copy here. I don't know, something about that UK cover, the color variation on there, I just kind of like, and it looks like they're kind of running through like this vineyard or something. I don't know, I just kind of like that cover art better. So yeah, Ancient Greece, and I'm assuming that's where Ancient Greece record comes from. Got this with some trade, so I didn't have to pay full price, which is always nice. I still got some stuff hanging out at the shop yet I still need to pick up on, and probably show that a couple months down the road. But moving on, this is another one from the shop. Not as in good shape, but still you don't see this one floating around too much, and for the price, couldn't say no to this. This is Hard Meat. What a name, right? Through a Window. This is their sophomore LP. Also, this is a UK band from Birmingham. So, they kind of have a little bit of that darkness in their sound. It's on the olive green Warner. And yeah, I mean, this one might be just a smidge off pace compared to their first one. but I do think they had found their sound, at least by this time. You know, they had done a few like demos in the past, and I think this came out like 70, yeah, like late 70, right after their first one. But prior to this, they were doing some demos, acetates, trying to find their sound, and I think by this time, they had definitely pulled in sort of a more marketable, kind of commercial slant to their sound, but doesn't really diminish the music too much, really. Kind of a cute back cover there. But yeah, even though I may prefer the debut over this, this is still got some goodies. Some nice jams working for it, and really cool like engineer things going on. Is there like a track I can point out? I have to look at the label, I guess. Let's see which one stood out to me. Smile As You Go Under is a big highlight. And then there's like a jammy track that opens up side 2. I Want You. Yeah. Very skillful players. You know, it's got a lot of great scaling effects happening on the guitar leads. Maybe not as like thud heavy as you may expect it to be, or as proto metal as you want it, but certainly cool title here from Hard Meat. And they also have like some, I think they have a demo called Rain that was released by Somar label through Gearson, which came out this year, which is also recommended. I think Through a Window, they also had a track called that on their first album, which I've decided to pull out here. Yeah, the opening track. This one's just always cool to show off just because of the timing strip. That's kind of why I'm showing it. Picked this one up first, and yeah, definitely some cool like progressive, again, kind of progressive hard rock style. Some of those psych effects lingering afterwards, you know, post-60s kind of sounds. You know, if you want to kind of branch away from the typical classic rock sounds, I think Hard Meat's definitely a band to look into. So yeah, both on Warner, and yeah, I think they pretty much fumbled after this. I don't know if they did any other projects later on, the members, if they did or not, but yeah, they're both winners. Okay, this next one, this is one that I had on my want list for a very long time on Discogs, but I just could never find a copy for like 20 bucks and under, and it finally happened, sealed copy. This came out in like 2003 on Sundazed. I don't think it ever had an insert, did it? No. And this is Rake's Progress. This is one I shared recently. This is called Sewer Rat Love Chant, which is the A-side to their one and only single. And then it has the B-side, Why Did You Rob Us, Tank. I forget what that's in reference from. I think that's like, I think Tank was like maybe the manager or something. Was like their nickname of somebody in the band, maybe. I forget, but yeah, very small print on the back, kind of telling their story. Based out of Fresno, California, and a very short-lived band. I think they may have only lasted 10, 11 months together, starting out in '66, kind of faded out like towards the beginning of '67, I think it was. But this mainly consists of like a live tape recording. And even though it's not too poor in sound quality, still very listenable. I think it's all recorded in mono. Does sound pretty decent yet. Very much kind of a garagey R&B kind of sound. Some nice use of the fuzz guitar. Kind of a birdsy Animals take. Very much inspired by those two bands. But I would say the strongest tracks is definitely the single, or at least it sounds the most pristine and the best production nonetheless. And you don't have like a whole lot of crowd noise or anything. They're talking to the audience just a little bit, but and some nice organ sounds too. But the track Sewer Rat Love Chant is definitely one to investigate if you're kind of interested in that sort of West Coast, kind of bratty, garage psych kind of sound. It definitely reminds me a little bit of like early Electric Prunes, you know, some tremolo guitar, sort of some mystical kind of lyrics going on. It's a cool gem, and these were definitely one of the first groups I discovered like in my early days of seeking out sort of these garage bands. So this track has definitely stuck with me for a long time. Is it essential? Maybe not. but I do know some people online really do praise this and really like their sound. I think there might be a little bit of harmonica in the mix as well. So, Rake's Progress, Sewer Rat Love Chant. Good stuff. Okay, and this next one here, this is one that I do know Crazy Jimmy's Vinyl has a original promo copy of this. And this is one I've been meaning to pick up for a very long time. It's been kind of passed around the vinyl community, and I saw this one in Grapefruit Records when I stopped by, and I had a lot of trade and had some left over after I purchased this, which is always kind of nice. But I always passed this up. I always found something else in the shop, and it was finally time to pick up on this. And this is the Stark Reality. Discovers Hoagy Carmichael's Music Shop. This is the title of this. It came out in like 1970, and Hoagy Carmichael, I guess he was kind of like a renowned sort of jazz pop composer. He looks very enthused working with this group of improv dudes. But yeah, it's kind of one of those records, you know, it's gained a bit of a cult status in recent years. Some notable names: John Abercrombie, Vinnie Johnson, Monty Stark, where the Stark Reality name comes in. And this is just like one of those albums that merges a lot of different blending of genres. You got like electric jazz merging with the sort of late 60s nasty fuzz guitar sound. And very funky as well. And just blending all that together with some like top tier musicians working together and just kind of bringing up a strong brew of goodness on here. Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody, but you know, it's got some great vibraphones working on here, distorted sometimes, distorted guitar as well, and merging that with like the whole concept behind this record being based off of a children's television show. And so you got some lyrics within that kind of relate to some, like, you know, counting numbers and counting the alphabets and stuff like that. And yeah, it's basically Carmichael's old songs from way back when, and they just got a new sort of contemporary spin on it. And yeah, this is just some dope shit, man. Shooting Stars, Grandfather Clock was the one that really kicked it in for me. Junkman's Song, a lot of wonky rhythms and kind of wonky bass sections as well. Nice drum fills. You just have it all here. Definitely something to sink your teeth into and discover. This is the Now Again reissue, not the 3 LP set. I know Crazy Jimmy wasn't too crazy about it, but it's about the only way we can come across this nowadays without shelling out that much for an original. And you know, I do like it quite a bit. It's very nice background music, but I would never, I don't think I'm ever going to pay up towards that amount for what these originals go for. It's kind of a good way to get your foot in the door if you're kind of, you know, kind of on the teeter-totter with singing in those kind of like jazz rock or early jazz fusion numbers with some funky elements. This is definitely kind of lingering off some, you know, that kind of 60s psychedelic sound. So a great merge of those two. So I'm sure you all know this by now, the Stark Reality. And I've got to show the little booklet here it comes with. Got a lot of detailed information about them. Nice shot of the band there. So they have it. Based out of the East Coast, right? I'm pretty sure. This is where the television show was. Out of Boston, I think. So there you go. And then this last one, this is one I picked up on for a little discount price. Probably wouldn't have otherwise picked this up, but I've been streaming this band for a while, and I always get this one mixed with their second album, Mirage. But I picked up a reissue of this for like $5. This is The Awakening, Hear, Sense, and Feel. Again, this came out in like the early 70s, and this is Real Gone Music pressing. It's originally on the Black Jazz Records label, which was, I think, based out of the West Coast in California. This is a Chicago band. The reason it was discounted was because it apparently had like a defect where it skipped near the end of the last track on side 1. I had no problem on my player. I think I heard where it was. It was just a tiny pop, but it didn't have a skip as indicated on the listing. But yeah, this is kind of what I've been soaking into the last few months. This one and Mirage, which I don't really know which one I prefer. I think Mirage was the one I was thinking of when I was picking this up, but me not being a spiritual jazz completist, sometimes it just kind of merges all together for me at this point. So yeah, spiritual jazz, very much the Black conscious moving throughout. You know, there's a lot of different movements happening with, you know, the social upheaval, everything coming out of the late '60s, you know, concerning racism and the Black Panthers. Definitely was a way for folks to express their artistry within this kind of landscape. And it's very much a very mellow sort of stream of consciousness listening to this. And these guys have played with a lot of different players, you know, Quincy Jones, Herbie Hancock, it says on the back. And I think it was like the only band really promoted on the Black Jazz record label. Oftentimes I think it was just more solo artists on here. And they always had this kind of like same custom sleeve layout as well. So I don't really have much of a favorite track, I guess. I do like the second track, When Will It Ever End? And Kira's Dance on side 2. Yeah, got a really cool use of the electric piano. They got a lot of saxophone work on here, some flute, pretty much all the key components to make spiritual jazz happen. Maybe not so much what I'm looking for. You know, I do like electric piano and vibraphone in my spiritual jazz, but the saxophone is a nice touch, and obviously that's just kind of what makes jazz happen. I guess it's just really something I gotta kind of settle into just yet. About lost it. There's a shot of the label there. And for $5, yeah, I'll take chances on that for that price. So there you have it. Make sure that stays. The Awakening. Hear, sense, and feel. And you do all of that while listening to it. So with that said, yeah, just want to shoot back here on camera and just kind of have a straightforward kind of video, sharing everything I've been picking up. I think the next video will either be part of that theme I was talking about with the Ghost Writers, talking about some long lost drifting US singer-songwriters and related, and then going back to some of my top singles of all time. I'm going to jump back into that theme and the usual stuff. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a good week. This is sort of my midweek video. I'm going to try and shoot out here, and stay tuned for more.